Hello, it's Mimi and I'm back with part 2 of our Beijing street food tour. Today we're finally going to try some Peking Duck to see what the fuss is all about. But first, breakfast. This is Douzhi, or fermented mung bean milk. It's a really popular breakfast in Beijing and it's known to have quite a strong flavour. It's got a really weird sour taste, like something's gone off. As you can see, I did not enjoy it. I held my breath and drank half the bowl, but I really couldn't finish it. Moving swiftly on, this is Beijing Hotpot, or Shuanyang Rou. Sometimes it's also called Mongolian hotpot due to its origin, but we'll talk about that in a second. Usually hotpot is heated underneath, but with Beijing hotpot it's heated in the middle with coals, and it kind of looks like an eye of Sauron. So hotpot is a DIY method of eating that's very popular in China. Instead of ordering a cooked dish, you order a selection of raw ingredients which you then cook in the broth yourself. The broth is usually quite spicy, but you can order a yin-yang pot, which has half clear and half spicy broth if you can't handle it. Sour plum juice is quite a popular accompanying drink. With Beijing hotpot in particular, the meat is sliced very thinly so that it can be cooked in seconds. Usually it's beef or lamb. The sesame dipping sauce is really good. Sometimes you might lose what you put in and need to go fishing around a bit.
Where's the stuff from?
I would say eating hot pot is more of an experience than a meal, and it's particularly fun in big groups. So it's often said that hot pot was invented by the Mongols, and a fun story about the origin of it is that Kublai Khan, who is the grandson of Genghis Khan, was going into battle, but he said he wanted to eat some lamb. And obviously they didn't have time to cook it properly. So what his chef did was slice it quite thinly and then dip it into boiling water so that the lamb cooked really quickly. And Kublai Khan really enjoyed it. And then he won the battle. He went on to found the Mongol-led Yuan dynasty of China, and that's apparently how hot pot was popularised. Whether it's true or not is another thing, but it's a nice story anyway. So now it's time to finally try the famous Peking Duck, or Beijing Hotpot as it's known in Chinese. We went to a place called Ruiyun, which is considered kind of upper mid-range in terms of budget, but don't worry, it wasn't mid-range in terms of quality. We ordered half a duck, which was enough for 2 people. Generally, the chef carves the duck in front of you and then presents it beautifully on a plate. You're also served a bunch of things that you're supposed to eat the duck with. So here are some thin wheat pancakes, which are served in a steamer basket. They're a bit like what you might use for spring rolls. Then we've got some sliced cucumbers and spring onion, and sweet bean sauce, which is a bit like hoisin sauce, but not the same thing. Let's give it a try. So I'm starting with the pancake, and I'm putting the sweet bean sauce on the pancake first, and then I'm putting the cucumber and spring onion, and then lastly the duck. So some people, probably real Beijingers, say that you should dip the duck in the sauce at the end and then put it on, rather than spreading the sauce on the pancake. But this is how I've always eaten it, so no judgment please. Next, you roll up the edges like you're making a spring roll, and it's time to eat. So I like to tuck the bottom in so the sauce doesn't leak out from the end. This was so good. All the flavours were perfectly balanced. The duck was amazing. So we got a few other things with our meal. We ordered half a duck, so I guess that includes the head as well. We also got some creamy duck soup on the house, but it was way too much soup, we couldn't finish it. This almond jelly was also on the house. It was quite a nice dessert and a refreshing end to the meal. On the whole, the Peking duck was delicious and I was a big fan. Now we're going for dinner in the Hutongs, the old alleyways of Beijing. We're going to a restaurant called Xiang Run, which is quite famous. We're going to try a couple of traditional Beijing dishes, which technically aren't street food, but neither was the Peking duck. This is kind of like a wrap made with pork. So this is like the flatbread. Got some spring onion here, and this is pork elbow. And this is one of the house specialties. The pork is really tender. It's not like very salty or fatty. Really good. This dish is called qianlong baicai, which means qianlong cabbage. Beicai is Chinese leaf or napa cabbage. Qianlong is the name of a famous Chinese emperor from the Qing dynasty. It's a salad essentially, which is raw Chinese leaf that's mixed with sesame and vinegar. And it's very refreshing and it's really good. It's quite a popular dish in Beijing, and I suppose when you travel, the advice is not to eat raw vegetables, but it's been fine so far. And my stomach was fine the next day too, in case you were wondering. I actually have a bowl with the same design as this plate. Maybe we bought it from the same place. So legend has it that one night when Qianlong was wandering the streets of Beijing undercover, he was dressed as a regular person. He went to this restaurant for regular people and he said, "Bring me your best dishes." And because it was a poor person's restaurant, they didn't really have anything fancy, and the guy brought him this dish. But Qianlong actually really loved it, and he ate loads of it and drank loads of wine. And then the next day, one of the courtiers brought a plaque in his handwriting to say, essentially, Qianlong Emperor ate here, and it was then that the guy realised who had been eating at his restaurant. Which is quite a nice story. Whether or not it's true, we don't know. But that's why the cabbage is named after him. This is jiaguanchang, which translates as fried filled intestine. The word in Chinese for sausage is actually xiangchang, which literally means fragrant intestine. So guanchang, I guess, is a type of sausage. So these are made with intestine, which are filled with glutinous rice and pork, and then deep fried. There's some garlic sauce here to dip it in. That's really good. I suppose sausage is basically intestine filled with meat. So this is a type of sausage. This is definitely better than the last time I tried intestines. This one is actually quite good. It tastes like I'm having chips. Rather hilariously, jiaguanchang is often mistranslated as fried enema on menus. That's because guanchang means filled intestine, and it's also the Chinese word for enema. I bet you really wanted to know that. So, jiaguanchang is a really popular street food in Beijing. And apparently, Dowager Empress Cixi really liked these. I'm finding a common theme that with all popular street foods in Beijing, it's linked to some sort of emperor or empress. And I don't know if they actually liked these or not, but it probably helps to sell the dish. And on that note, that's the end of our food adventures in Beijing. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.